Their insurance company basically lied to them and they lost absolutely everything. Wildfires, floods, windstorms, golf ball, tennis ball sized hail raining down from the sky. There is no doubt that our climate and environment has significantly changed over the years. Today's video is all about a Calgary family that lost it all in a wildfire. We're going to talk about what happened to the Calgary family, and we're going to talk about one thing that I know for sure is you do not want this to happen to you. Let's make sure you're protected, so if anything like this ever does, you've got the right framework in place to make sure you're appropriately insured. According to Wikipedia, Canada is coming off a record-setting year in the world in terms of the wildfire season that we just had. There was over 250,000 people displaced, and almost 5% of Canada's forest has been absolutely destroyed. This isn't a Canadian problem either. This is happening all over the world. And insurance companies, well, they're starting to pay attention to this stuff, so they should. In fact, insurance giant State Farm out of the US is no longer insuring properties in the state of California. Other states are having issues too, like Florida and Louisiana, just because the risk of natural disasters is starting to get so high. It's too risky for these companies to insure homes in these areas. Back at home, between 6 and 10% of Canadian properties are considered so high risk in terms of where they're located, in terms of floodplains, our local insurers won't even touch them. And this has spawned conversations by the federal government to create something called the National Flood Insurance Program, really designed to help capture any shortfall or uninsured issue that people otherwise would have thought they may have caught. I want to bring this back locally a little bit. I want you to think about areas like Crescent Beach, Ladner, Richmond, Abbotsford, Cloverdale, Pitt Meadows. These areas are all in areas that could easily flood and have flooded in the past. And we're really not immune to fires out here either. Just look at what happened recently in Kelowna or Boston Bar, and think of some of the significant forest areas that we have in the Lower Mainland. In the Fraser Valley, we've got Sunnyside Urban Acres, Fleetwood Tynehead Park, the Delta Watershed, or what about the crown jewel of Vancouver, Stanley Park? It's estimated that about 60% of the wildfires that were started in British Columbia this year were started by lightning strikes, which is of course something that nobody can prevent from happening. As of July 15th of this year, there was 377 active fires burning in British Columbia. This really starts to raise the question about how our communities are built and also how our homes are built. You know, over the years, we have been so focused on trying to turn our homes green, yet we might need to consider how to turn our homes not only green, but also more resilient to natural disaster. And there's a lot of risk if you haven't really thought about natural disasters happening to your own property. What would happen if your home burned down or you had a massive flood in your property and you found out that you weren't covered? Would you ever be able to recover from such a financial loss like that? Or what about the diminished value of a home that as the climate continues to change, we learn that it's maybe in a more risky area than once thought? Who's going to want to buy that? And what is that going to do to the resale value of your property? And of course, there's also the lost wealth that you would be missing if you ever experienced one of these natural disasters in your home, because you're going to have to put yourself up in a hotel, have accommodations, and everything that goes along with that. So the purpose of this video is really not to scare you, but it's to prepare you and to warn you and to tell you a little bit of a story about something that I experienced that I don't want to happen to you. It all goes back maybe about 8 years or so when I didn't hear from my insurance agent about renewing my insurance. So I was somewhat curious about why that might be the case, and I decided, well, you know, they're in the game of sales. I'll wait for them to reach out to me. I've tried to reach out to them a few times with no phone call back, so I started exploring some other options out there. I went to dive deep into the policy that my home had been insured for. So whether it was earthquake or fire or flood, whatever might have happened, as I was reviewing the characteristics of my insurance policy, I came to notice that my house really wasn't adequately described. The square footage was way off. The details were way off about the hot water tank age, the furnace age. The roof age was even off. There was improvements done to the home that weren't even listed in this information. Now, the scary thing to me about all of that is if I had have experienced a claim at some point, I might have not been covered. I could have lost my house. I could have lost an enormous amount of wealth. And who knows what that would have done to my personal and my business life. So as scary as this is, this comes into one of the first solutions I want to make sure that you understand is to make sure your insurance company really has an accurate representation of your home. You need to make sure the details, the upgrades, and any other information that they might require is 100% accurate when you're renewing your policy. The next solution is you want to document the items in your home yearly. And this doesn't have to be an exhaustive process. This could be as easy as walking around with your cell phone and just taking a video of you walking through your home and really just kind of commenting on what you see as you go through the video. One time per year, not a big deal, but this could really help you in a situation where you do incur an event and you can't remember what's in your house. My next recommendation is to check your policy. Now, wildfire coverage in most Canadian policies is standard, so you should be okay with that. But what about flooding? And are you located in a floodplain area? What about earthquake? Are you adequately insured against if we ever do have the big one that everyone says is coming? And you have to satisfy yourself with a level of comfortability that if you choose to opt out of getting earthquake insurance, if it ever does happen and there's a catastrophic loss of your property, you're the only one that's on the hook and you're the only one that's to blame. You also want to make sure any changes to your property are well documented by your insurance company. Things that come to mind initially are whether you've added a suite, whether it's unauthorized or not, or whether you've added any unauthorized additions or alterations to your property. Maybe you've done a major reno or a significant reno. Maybe you run a business out of your home. Or maybe you just added a deck out in the backyard. You need to make sure your insurance company knows what is going on with your house and has an appropriate representation of exactly what they're insuring to make sure you're protected. Of course, the last recommendation is to buy smart. It doesn't mean that you necessarily shouldn't buy in a floodplain, but you need to be prepared for the repercussions of buying in a floodplain, not only now, but as the years go by, because it's going to get more and more difficult to find insurance for these types of properties. And the rates are really likely only going to go up. This, of course, is the same as living in an area that is prone to wildfires. So if you're anywhere up in the central Okanagan or really anywhere in northern British Columbia, this is our new reality that it's likely going to be forest fire season every season in the summer. There's two great websites that are provided by the Canadian government that I've linked below in the description that I do think you should check out after watching this video now that I've got your mind thinking about insurance on your property. The first is called Flood Ready, which obviously deals with anything related to flood planning and disaster mitigation. And the next one is called Fire Smart Canada. So if you're in an area that's prone to wildfires or you live near a big forest, just like I do in the Lower Mainland, this is something you want to check out and understand. So what happened to our Calgary family that lost it all? Well, here's the story. A fire in northeast Calgary left one family homeless after their insurance company declined to cover their losses. This was back in April while the Wheatley-Andersoff family was out of the province attending to funeral arrangements for a deceased parent. They received the news when they were returning home that their home had basically been demolished. And since the fire, the family has been staying in a hotel room that was provided by their insurer, who is TD Insurance. However, they recently received notice from TD Insurance that they needed to vacate the hotel with just 1 day's notice. The reason cited, there was a lack of disclosure regarding changes that were made to the property. Exactly what we're talking about in this video. In 2021, one of the homeowners opened a licensed and properly incorporated dog grooming salon in the family's basement. TD Insurance said the family failed to disclose this change, which voided their insurance policy. The homeowner said the business was insured elsewhere, adding that she had no knowledge that the additional disclosure was required. Responding to the situation, TD Insurance said it's currently investigating the matter. So what's the moral of this story? You don't want this to happen to you. You don't want to be under investigation because you're currently not covered and you just lost your home. So do me a favor and check out your homeowner insurance policy. If you're someone that's looking to buy a home, make sure you check of whether it's in a fire-prone area or in a floodplain. And even if you're a tenant and you're watching this video, know that your landlord's home insurance does not cover your personal property. You need tenant insurance on your own personal items when you're a renter. Now, I hope I covered it all in this video. I hope I got everything that I was trying to convey across to you guys done in a manner that is going to help you succeed. But just in case I missed something, please leave a comment below and let me know, hey, maybe you found really great value in this video, or maybe I missed something that everybody else should consider that you want to share. And I really implore you to do that. Please do, because this will make us all just a little bit better protected. While you're down there in the description, you're going to see links to all of the collateral we have been building over the last 2 years to try and help people like you be better home buyers and better home sellers. So be sure to take a look, and you're also going to see a link there to our new BC Home Buyers course, which is currently being offered at a highly discounted rate, free, just to encourage more people to get into the program, because we want all home buyers all across the province, even the ones that we can't serve, to be successful. Hey, look, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers.